On this episode of History Through Time, we visit the shadier part of the 1800s.
My name is Carrot Geesey. I'm a certified time traveler and I work part-time at a petting zoo. On tonight's episode, we're heading down to the early half of the 1800s to explore some utopian societies. Are you excited? I'm not, but my child support bills gotta get paid. Utopianism, in essence, is the pursuit of a society or community where everything is perfect according to the beliefs of that certain group.
At this time, around the 1830s and 40s, revivalism was at an all-time high in America, and the Second Coming of Christ was becoming more and more popular. In general, many of these utopian groups believed that Christ was going to arrive on Earth very soon, or had already even arrived. Therefore, they believed it was a perfect time to start their little ideal community experiments. The theory here was that by following strict sets of rules and beliefs, the communities could achieve ultimate happiness, prosperity, and gratification of Christ. These groups generally criticized the selfishness and individualistic ideas of society at the time. Many of them also considered many cultural norms to be impure or unholy, leading them to adopt unique practices.
The first group Carrot Geesey, will study during my time traveling adventure is Oneida, the shadiest of them all. The community of Oneida was founded in 1841 by John Humphrey Noyes and became established in what is now Oneida, New York.
One of the main things that Oneida is known for is their questionable beliefs on love. The community practiced a system of complex marriage, which basically meant that every individual was also married to everyone else. This was essentially an extended family system, which Noyes believed would dissolve selfishness. Noyes was also a believer in perfectionism, which said that religious conversion could free any individual of all sin in this life. The community also held group shaming sessions, where an individual who did something wrong would have to face a committee or the entire community for criticism. Many historians believe that this ultimately improved the cohesiveness of the community.
Dear Diary, I later learned from my observations that John Humphrey Noyes was a questionable person. Despite receiving opposition from almost all of his colleagues, he decided to start the Oneida community to prove his theories correct. The general public thought of the Oneida community as a sinful experiment. Noyes would assign pairs to have sexual relationships, which often ended up meaning teenagers would be in relationships with people in their 50s and 60s. Ironically, Noyes and his followers viewed their actions as being pure and holy. His followers also believed that the Spirit of Christ had entered into their group. Naturally, this would create tensions between Oneida community and other groups of people. Eventually, groups became extremely hostile towards Noyes, leading him to decide to abandon the ideas of complex marriage. The community slowly began falling apart, and when legal troubles forced Noyes to leave for Canada, the remaining members of Oneida simply decided to create a joint stock company making silverware. The silverware company still exists today, and using techniques evolved from the original Oneida silverware, is now the largest silverware company in the world. Next, I'm going to look at the community of New Harmony. New Harmony was very different than Oneida. This community was founded in 1814 by a religious German group who had a very literal interpretation of the Bible and believed that the arrival of Christ was imminent. They had a strong work ethic and it created a very structured society that was completely self-sufficient.
The first community at New Harmony was well known for their high-quality products, and they were extremely successful economically. They were so successful that some began even calling the community the Wonder of the West. However, eventually the group's leader, Johann Rapp, decided to sell the town to a businessman named Robert Owens. The original group then moved to a different location, and a second group moved into New Harmony. Robert Owens and his partner, William McClure, wanted to create the perfect society, but had a different theory of doing so. Instead of focusing on religion, Owens believed that free education, no social classes, and sharing of property were the keys to a perfect community. They also invited many bright minds from Europe and different parts of the United States to settle in the town. Owens and McClure's ideas were actually very similar to ideal communism. Unfortunately, this second group at New Harmony quickly fell apart. Some members were only there to take advantage of the group's sharing. Also, many of its members were lazy and incompetent, leading the group to lack labor and agriculture. Even though it failed in around 3 years, Robert Owen's group benefited American society in the fields of science and education. Many of the group's ideas and the people that Owen brought together helped advance society. New Harmony is still a small town in Indiana today. Tourism is common, and many buildings, such as the roofless church, are still popular sites.
Finally, let's go check out the Shakers. The Shakers were a group of people that existed across the United States and communities and prioritized simple living and harmony. The first Shakers, led by Mother Ann Lee, arrived in 1774. Shakers were similar to Quakers and had strict Christian views.
The group believed in celibacy, also known as abstinence, and considered each other brothers and sisters. This later also led to the downfall of the group because this meant that they could only rely on converts for new members. By the 1860s, the United States was going through a period of war and industrialization. This led most people to view the Shakers as outdated and as a dying belief. People also didn't find the Shakers' beliefs of mandatory abstinence appealing. Shaker communities began struggling to get new members, and as of today, there are only 2 individuals remaining who identify as a Shaker.
Dear Diary, these people are weird. I don't like my job. My boss tells me what to do. I don't even get dental insurance. Whatever. I'll see you guys next month on the next episode of History Through Time. Or yeah, you can. That's fine.